but I don't know if this is on or not.
I think I just turned it on again, but.
Yeah, so basically, like, the idea of the Hack Fest is to have this, like, fun, creative space. It's not about, like, breaking things, but it's about more, like, remixing and changing and putting together something new. So is this on?
Just press power, yeah. Press power, go on, most button. Physical.
Yeah, maybe it's just this.
One thing that Kate really kind of encapsulated, Kate helped us with our strategic planning process back in 2011, which is why she has all this background. But one thing that we really heard from kids is that they want to make and do at the library. And so this is where Kate is going with that instruction.
Yeah, so there's like, this is more for the younger side, but it's really cool because it's this tool that they've created where you can kind of, you have to like,
They can't see it yet.
sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Oh, it's up to now.
Okay, cool. I think that you just like that. Make sure. Yeah, so then you can basically like activate these goggles, and you can click on the different parts of the page and see, oh, what is that made out of? What are the tags there? It's more for the younger kids for sure, but they also have another one called Popcorn, where you can remix bits of the web together. So you can take like a video you found somewhere and take a link and mash up like a map, and so you can have these really interactive videos. It's called Mozilla Popcorn, and so there's like Mozilla is doing some really cool things with free resources that are teaching kids about coding and making things. So it's like and it's fun. They have also and there's another one that Thimble is also really cool, and that has games that teach you coding, and it's like you build your website and you build different things, and it's all web-based. So it's called Thimble.
Thimble?
Thimble, yeah. It's also from Mozilla. And the cool thing about it is these all are web-based. So even the one where you're editing video is also web-based. And that means that you don't have to own any software. You just have to have an internet access. And that's really great for kids. They can just come into the library or even work at home. But we want to start doing some workshops where we can do kind of fun hack fest, like over a weekend, come together, have some experts, and create something cool as a group. And like have someone who's doing user design, have someone who's in charge of the coding, and just like and then work together. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Okay, sorry. All right. I'm going to show you just the app that I'm working on. And what basically I got very excited during the MACL program taking, because MACL is a multidisciplinary program. We are able to take courses in education and in creative writing, English, and in library school. So two of the courses that had the most influence on me were Kathy Shoemaker's course on illustrated materials for children. It's where I learned about multimodality and looking at, that course was just like a great light bulb went on. I took that course learning about what picture books could do. And then the other course was very exciting. Was the education course with Marco Filippenko on picture books and literacy. When I decided to make an app, I was applying multimodal theory that I learned. So the idea that words and pictures have to be interconnected. Has anyone seen This Is Not My Hat? Yeah, and notice how you can read the text to someone and you will not get the story unless they see the pictures. They have to be seen together to get the message. So I learned about how the best picture books were very much interconnected, and how children cycle through the words and pictures over and over to get the meaning of the page and of the narrative. So I started using a builder. Now, if any of you in your programs want children to be able to make apps, have you started doing that in any of your programs? There's a few, almost, some of the builders are quite nice. They're free, and one of them that's great for children is Moglue, M-O-G-L-U-E, and you can download it for free, and the way they make their money is when someone actually wants to publish to the App Store, and then they charge the professional developer for that. But to make an app, it's all drag and drop, and you can share, the kids can share between devices, they can show each other's. And the way they do it is with these readers, and it's almost like a PDF reader. So here is the reader for robot media, and Moglue has a reader as well, and there's a new one starting in Canada. It's in beta right now called Sky Reader. So these apps that are in beta are really useful. So it has a nice interface that you use in Mac, and you drag and drop your words in. And this is where you can test it out on the actual iPad. So
The King Has Goat Ears by Katerina Jovanovic. Illustrations by Philippe Béhat.
So it's nice because the animations, you learn some basics about animation, and then in an app, it's not a video animation. They can make in Photoshop a group of PNGs or just image files. So it's just like a flip book. So you make your little character, and you have your arms here, then here, then here, then here. Then you load those five, you drag and drop them into the program, and you have a little animation. So it's very easy to understand. And so you can put in sound files, and it's really good with the surf hacking idea because you can find royalty-free sound sources. It's quite fun to do that. So this little animation here is just 5 images, but it's so cute because the program does something called tweening, so it fills in the spaces between, so it's automatic. So here's sort of the multimodal part.
King Boyan never left the palace.
So that's the words, then there's the face, and so I thought, what interaction can I add that will support this whole multimodal idea? So if you tap the king, he cries. So if you have a laugh sit, you have a shared reading, it's still, he's not just grumpy, he's sad about never leaving the palace. And one of the things that there's, have any of you seen the Joe McGann's Cooney Center website? It's started by the founder of the Sesame Street program, and it's a center that partners with universities and independent researchers to create studies about children's digital habits and children's digital education. And you can download all the free studies from it, and they're very good. It's a non-commercial, ethical space to study children and digital education. So they just put out a study on designing apps for young children, and it's the first formal study of designing apps. And one of the things that was really interesting, and I noticed this in showing apps in school, was they said don't put hotspots in the bottom corners of the app because children often rest their wrists there and will inadvertently change the page or make an action take place. And they also said there should be, when the sound is on or when the narration is going on, make it so that the animations don't work, because story time and a lapse it is turning into an argument. Don't touch it, wait till we hear the words and the kid is touching. So some really well observed information information about what you should look for in an app when you're designing an app. So in this one, the text is, and
Every time he needed a haircut, a new barber was summoned. That barber was never seen again. Everyone in the kingdom wondered what had happened to all the barbers.
so to me what it's saying here, and that isn't in the picture, this is a new picture I made that was not in the book. So I don't know if you spent time in the bathroom when you were little saying, if only my ears didn't stick out. My case was a cowlick. Oh, and I would put some goo on it to flatten it, and I looked really stupid then. So I felt the king would do this with his ears. And so it's, I realized after working on this for a while that this is about worrying about your appearance and what other people will think of you. So another thing that the Joan Gans Cooney Center published was a response of librarians, teachers, and parents that there were too many interactions in apps, that parents found that it was too chaotic. Now, this is quite understandable when you find that most people producing apps have migrated from video games, and they don't have a background in literacy, in producing picture books, in children's education. Most of them have never read picture books in the last 5 years. And that's why the first ones that came out were Peter Rabbit, because people that write picture books, I noticed from teaching writing at Langara, is that they decide they want to write a book, that writing a children's book would be the easiest thing to do, but they haven't read a children's book since their own childhood, and they have a very nostalgic, old-fashioned idea of what children's books are. So part of my study has been about how a contemporary app can be respecting that hermeneutic cycling between a sound and an interaction and words and pictures. So I think I've spoken for
Thank you. I think, yeah, we've got maybe 15 minutes or so left. If people want to ask questions, this would be a good time.
I have a question to Shannon. You were mentioning you were the first library to lend Kindles, and I wondered, you said you have iPads and iPods. Are they for just library use?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
There are some libraries, though, in the States that are doing some really interesting things with lending iPads. Darien Public Library is kind of the peon of apps and iPads, and especially circulating iPads. They circulate them as part of, I believe, an early literacy kit.
A very cute kit.
Exactly, and it's actually pretty strategic because they're not just sending out the iPad. There's supplementary materials, how to use it, recommendations around screen time and things like that. They also at Darien they have a little clickers program that they use with iPads and kids. Gretchen Casarati, who used to be the head of youth services there and is now, I think, has a bigger role there. She was the head of the ALSC Children and Technology Committee. I've seen her present. She's fantastic. She sort of got this off the ground. She also did their whole picture book reorganization by theme there, which was also very cool. So if you're looking for a public library that's sort of kind of at the fore, they're probably the best example. But yeah, we don't know if there are any public libraries circulating iPads yet for kids.
There are,
In BC.
but they ask for credit card. I talked to a librarian at a Richmond Readers Club that just started, and she said, no, you have to have a credit card to take that, so it's not really,
I have a question about whether you, and at any of your libraries, or have you seen it's like the incorporation of an iPad or of digital media in story times for the very young, and kind of your thoughts on that?
We just started. We're doing the very tricky bear in a week and a half. It's tough because we get requests, and it's interesting, some of Cynthia's points. We have teachers specifically saying, we'd love you to do digital storytelling on an app, but not one that has a lot of animation. So they're essentially asking for a projection of a picture picture book. So I think a lot of the times when we get requests for app story times, they're not true requests for app story times. They're still kind of projected picture books. And I think anyway there's a difference between projecting a picture book and using an app with a big group of young children. You know, if you have 50 children in a room, it's probably going to be the librarian who's choosing the interaction and deciding where to tap, which may sort of, you know, yeah, go.
I do public, I do school visits a lot, so I show them apps. And what I've done with the kids is we have them come up one after the other to read the story together. So each child gets to do an interaction. And it's interesting because what I found with children working on an iPad app together is they work better as a team than as alone. Children seem to enjoy playing with an iPad fixed story as two kids.
These are usually 2, 3, 4-year-olds, which can get, because that's what I was, schools and there's, when we say story time, I generally think like 6 and under, and that's when it gets challenging. Like if you're doing, we can do a read aloud for a group of 50, 2, 3, 4-year-olds, but using an app with a group of 50, 2, 3, 4-year-olds is challenging. But when we do go to schools, yes, and they're grade 1 and 2, and they can kind of self-regulate a bit. But it's the really little guys, like the toddlers, it can get.
We're actually starting a pilot program in May of this year, where we're going to be having very controlled, like sign up, register style story times. Maximum 12 parents with 12 kids, and the kids have to be of the age that it's aimed at. So no bringing your baby to like the preschool story time kind of thing. So like we have tons and tons of like regular chaotic story times at the library. So this is going to be like bringing it down. The plan is to buy 12 iPad minis, so that on occasion we can bring them out and let's all, you know, experiment with this app with our child, kind of like in a contained, controlled environment. So we'll see how that goes. It's a pilot.
And one thing, and Danielle can attest to this because she works in our community computing center, the amount of work it takes in wiping, restoring, managing those devices, getting staff trained on them, getting them cataloged, suppressing the catalog records, cataloging all the adapters, getting barcodes on all the adapters and all the folios. It sounds like it would just be easy, like we get it, we catalog it, and we use it, but you need to have all your staff on, you know, your lowest common denominator, right? So if you have a staff on here who's the staff member who's, you know, I know how to turn it on, but that's it. You need everyone on the same page. You need all of your, you know, documentation and cataloging and what ifs and procedures. My mind was blown by the amount of work it takes. It's almost easier, I think, if you're a smaller shop. I think the bigger you are, perhaps the more complex it gets. But the wiping and the restoring. I bought an app on this iPad, but how do we get it onto the other 6? And the cloud isn't working, and IT won't support it because it's an Apple product. So who does it? It's a challenge.
Have any of you looked into facilitating podcasting or video casting for you at your programs?
Yeah, I think we're planning to do that definitely. Like, have you heard of Media in Chicago? The Chicago Public Library has some really cool programs that's all around like teaching, podcasting, digital music, and all like the arts and digital arts. So I'm kind of modeling what we would like to do on that, but we have a lot of work to do in terms of getting funding for some like bigger, more computers, more software. There's a lot of work that will go into that, so we'll see.
There's a lot of institutional support around it though. We're really lucky in that respect. And again, being a small library, we're kind of able to jump at these things. But I mean, there's this one girl who's been coming into the library and using the teen space ever since we opened. And like, you know, once a week I'll walk in there and she's sitting at the computer and she's singing, you know, and it's like, why can't she be recording herself, you know, and like making a video because like she's dancing around the teen department anyway, like put a camera on this girl, she clearly loves the spotlight, you know, so I think it's really exciting that we'd be able to provide that for her.
And the cool thing that Media Lab does, because this brings up another challenge for librarians and me from a management perspective. So great, we have Photoshop extended on our 3 computers. what do we do when a teen comes to the desk with a complex Photoshop question? So am I needing to hire staff now who are experts in Photoshop, video editing, reader's advisory, programming? So what Media Lab does, which we're hoping to do, is they get community mentors. So the equivalent here would be getting someone from Emily Carr who's willing to donate, 5 hours a month. And we were even talking about the possibility of, on the North Shore between the two libraries, or us two teaming up on recruiting these kind of cool 18 to 25-year-olds and splitting them up between our, our two libraries or something. So that's the challenge from a management perspective, is you want to be able to do all these things, but who's doing it, right? Who's instructing it? Who's got the expertise? And what baseline level of expertise do my staff need to have? Can they all be experts in Photoshop? Absolutely not. I cannot find 10 youth librarians who are experts in Photoshop and youth advisory and baby time and outreach. I can't. So I have to kind of be strategic in where we get that human power from.
I'm curious how you solved the problem of the disappearing video games.
Oh, yeah. Well, we went through a few iterations there. At first, we took all the discs out and just had it behind the desk, and you had to ask. And then we just got security cases, and that took care of it. Yeah, old-fashioned.
Mm-hmm. But it works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Can you share with us some of your favorite picture book apps? Or picture
Oh,
books?
sure. The ones that I think are really brilliant and that really work as a piece of art and something for children. I think all the Sandra Boynton ones are wonderful. And they're made by a Vancouver company called Wow Pro.
Ooh, ba, la, la, la. By Sandra.
Have you all seen this?
Ooh, ba, la, la, la. By Sandra Boynton.
So you can play with
Narrated by Keith Boynton.
So they're all on something called a spring.
A cow says moo. A sheep says ba.
And then this is a slider. Now this is something I just think is amazing.
3 singing pigs say la la la.
We should give out headphones because we have this.
So I think they're, all of the Sandra Boynton ones are just wonderful.
Says
I think Toca Boca has not put a foot wrong in their entire. Toca Boca! And something is happening in Scandinavia, I don't know what, but they're making lots of great apps. They're doing lots of incredible research on multimodal and digital materials. So this is Train, it's brand new. All of their apps are imaginative play, they're not story apps. So they do things like tea parties, doing hairdos, cooking in the kitchen. And this one is amazing to me because you can start the train by pushing this gauge. Now I never put it up to 3, but I have friends that go right up to 3, right away. Oh goodness! Because this reminds me of dreams as a child when I would dream I was driving a car, but the car wouldn't stop. Now if you tap on it on the train, you're inside the train driving, and you can also rotate the view. Yeah, but you can go from inside to outside, and for me, this struck such a chord with me of being very young and discovering consciousness and looking at something and looking from within. Oh, here, something's coming up, so we stop at the station and load up. So I think their works are absolutely brilliant. So anything by Toca Boca, very reasonably priced, and children love them to death. And they're very good for groups of children to play. So the other one that I really, really like, and this is a word game, and it's called Noodleworks. And this is a lovely, lovely, funny game with two little bugs who are learning 15 action words. And what the words can do. So you can spin this in many, many ways. They love it. So it's 15 action words. It's absolutely beautifully done. It gets more and more elaborate and more funny. Sparkle!
This actually does remind me, we have a document for staff where we note which ones we really recommend having headphones with. If you were doing this one without the sound, it's not as, as.
Oh, no, you need the sound.
Yeah, and parents find that useful too, because if they're going in the car, they don't know,
But there are many, many ways to interact with this word. That's a beautiful app. And this one, well, of course, anything by Nosy Crow is brilliant. They are one of the few app developers that come with Children's Publishing. They are a marriage of video game technology with very, very solid understanding of picture books and
Straight
children.
away, the prince asked Cinderella to dance.
See, that tilted weird.
Oh, let's just. There we go. Is it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is very groovy. The prince and the princess are, oops, that's my fault. Please come back.
For those who are interested, Cynthia gave me a list of all the ones to have on the 2 SLAIS iPads that you can borrow through the office. So we acquired them a couple of years ago, and then we added more last year. And if you want to see Cynthia again, come to a class of mine, because she takes
They're children, it's interracial, and he likes her because she has kind eyes. So it's a really nice version of it, and their Screen Little Pigs is amazing. And so I really, really love that. And if you have, this is called SSI, it's about death, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I think this is a very, very beautiful app based on a book by Chilean author illustrator. And the heart of the novel is probably, I don't know, one of the best made.
Touch the menu at any time.
And if you like games, have you got Sneak Beat Bandit? Do you like it?
The kids like it a lot. No, it's great, it's great.
I like it because it's the only, actually the only video game that anybody can think of that you have to play while you listen to rhythm.
Yeah, I think it's 6 months. I think we didn't realize we needed headphones for a couple months. So sometimes I still hear this and I'm but it is cool. It's cool for older kids too. It's not the.
So it's actually, if anybody's into music education, you know that the part of the brain that's accessed with music is really exciting. It's the same place where math comes from. And you play this, you have to tap on beat or your word disappears. You try to get the blocks back. So anyway, I really recommend that one. So those are ones I recommend.
Any other questions? Well, sums up the time I thought we would spend this evening, but I think if anyone has any questions or wants to kind of
stop and chat. I'm hoping you guys will be able to chat for a couple of minutes. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming this evening. This was a really exciting panel to kind of organize and get all the panelists for. And thank you very much to the panelists for coming and speaking to us. You can learn about it in the classroom, but to hear about kind of what's actually going on out there in the real world, it's pretty exciting. So if you guys could all join me in